There we go. Great title. Traversing transformations. Yeah, so there's been a lot of talk about data pipelines, what is data for? And transforming data is on the slides a lot as well, but it's never really handled. It's kind of an implied step. It seems like it's being underestimated sometimes even. So, a brief history of me as well, maybe. My name is Mark. I'm at Coalesce. I'm a sales engineer. And a brief history of me, well, if we look at this, that's my history as well. I used to be a data engineer, even before we were called data engineers, and we were still called ETL developers. I worked with most of these. And so, what happened? ETL tools were great. They were really powerful. You could kind of configure visually what your data has to do in order to make it valuable. And that was it. There was a big black box that did something because databases were too slow. And so you would load all of the data, or extract all of the data into your big black box. It would do some transformation that you configured, and then load it back into the database. And that worked until we all went to cloud, and we had to kind of optimize the code, but how? Because the big black box didn't allow us to optimize that code. So I regret to inform you, but you might all be aware that we all went back in time doing this, writing a bunch of SQL on databases, or using frameworks like DBT, which in the end is still writing a bunch of SQL. And yeah, we didn't really like that. So what I don't really want to talk about, well, what I do want to talk about is the transformation space. Like I said, it's a bit underestimated. So we've seen these great presentations this morning about extracting and loading data and doing all of that automatically, getting it into the cloud in a very efficient way, into lake houses and lakes and warehouses and stuff like that. And then in the end, there's a lot of talk about consuming that data, because of course that's what it's all about. It's about consuming that data. It's about AI, machine learning, garbage in, garbage out. So if you put garbage into an ML model, into an AI model, you get garbage out as well. I have some examples of that. So that middle piece is really what it's all about. It's getting that data upgraded, transformed into being informative, into having more value. Value is kind of the keyword for me. So that's actually where Coalesce as a tool is all about. Coalesce is a SaaS product. This is just a short product pitch. I promise that's it. We sit in that transformation space. It's a SaaS product built exclusively for Snowflake to do your data transformations with certain values. And to show you as an example, I'm just going to talk about a guy. And his name is Fred. He's a fake guy, but I called it data engineer extraordinaire. So he likes skiing. Oh, actually, there we go. He loves skiing even. And he loves data as well. He loves solving complex problems. And he's actually very good at coding. You know, he likes Python, he likes Java, he likes SQL. And he's been working, and this might relate to, you might recognize a person in your team, in your company, you might recognize yourself in this story, I do, has worked at a growing company as a data engineer, as an ETL developer maybe even, for over 5 years. And he invented the FRED, the framework for rapid engineering of data pipelines. And so no one really knows what that is. It's again a big black box, but he invented it. He's very proud of that. And so this is the challenge that he has been facing for the past few years. And by the way, you might recognize it. Yes, this is all generated by Dolly, the GPT thing. So Fred really likes skiing, so he's looking out his office window and he sees all of these people with free time going skiing. This is going to be us tomorrow, the people out the window, not the people inside. So Fred wants to go skiing, And he's gotten some colleagues, but still, he has this major challenge. He's got that framework in place that should have helped, but no one understands it, and the requests are piling up, and he's involved in every single request. So he's challenged, and you know, even a small change, like, oh, can you add a little column here? Hey, there's a bug in my calculation. I see that the data is incorrect. Can you have a look? Can you see? Can you fix that? He lost track. So the thing grew out of control. I don't know, but I really recognize it. Does it resonate with anyone? Great. Yeah, I see a lot of yes. Okay. So it's a common problem, I guess. And of course, bottom line, delivering a change to production, however small or big, just takes too long. And the question might have even become irrelevant at that point. So that's a big challenge. And I haven't even talked about, when you're worrying about the current state of the data and the platform, stop talking about evolution. Stop even thinking about innovation. AI, ML, yeah, that's not relevant. We don't have time for AI or ML. We're working on fixing the current issues, the monthly end report, stuff like that. If you're on Snowflake, we won't be worrying about optimized code because we need to deliver the valuable data first. So consumption, through the roof. Business users think, I need that question answered now. So I will just start building my own queries on that raw data. I'll just bypass the whole IT and data department and do it myself. So you get a shadow data platform. And of course the big one is that Fred can't go skiing anymore. So how do we fix that? How do we get Fred take his skis and go skiing, and at the same time having the data, him having his work done, because he's committed on doing that. He's committed to delivering the data. What I actually noticed, I was trying to find a parallel between data and skiing. Obviously, with this conference here, you're trying to find that, and it was actually quite easy. Precision, speed, and agility are essential in skiing. Same with data. So, precision, speed, and agility, and that's exactly the three key pillars of Coalesce as well. So let's have a look what that means with Fred using Coalesce on a daily basis. So here we go. Fred is on his Saturday morning, waxing his skis, and then this happens. Need this done today. So there's a couple of points. Let's just go over them. First, the first one to start with. And notice that there are 4 questions, but secretly, if we look at the first question, so there's some question about supplier cost column being wrong, so there's maybe an issue in the data, maybe a calculation gone wrong. Please fix that, analyze it and fix it. But there's another hidden question. Hey, there's also a new column that needs to be added into the old CRM system, something with deprecation, a deprecation indicator. Right, so it's secretly 2 questions in one. So let's look at that first one. Okay, looking at a column calculation and then adding a new one. So in the old days, Fred would open up his Snowflake thing, open up the query that the user was looking at, scrolling through the code, where's that column? Where is it selected from? Opening up the next view, opening up the next transformation, and so on and so on. And by lunchtime, maybe he was halfway through. So with Coalesce, we've got column level lineage. So we just find the column at the end, the one that was referenced, and instantly you see exactly where it's coming from. And over there is a transformation that says, give me the supply cost multiplied by 1.9. 1.9 is incorrect, it should be 1.09, 9%. So easy fix. You add the 0, save it, create that as a view, deploy it, because deployment is easy, because everything you do in Coalesce is metadata driven. So you store your configuration, your data pipelines, your objects as YAML files in your own Git platform. And deployment to Snowflake is automated. So that's an easy fix. Tracing the source, analyzing the impact works as well. So now we're talking about analyzing where the data came from, but you can do it the other way around as well. You can do impact analysis, of course. If you check the lineage for a source object, a source column, you can see exactly where it's being used. So if you need to change a column, you can tell what the impact is. What are you potentially breaking? So that was one thing. What was the other one? The deprecation flag, the new column. And that's typically a data warehouse. Your data architecture has several layers, right? Whether you're using data vault or dimensional, it doesn't matter. Your data flows through several layers, especially when you're using views and tables and everything stacked on top of each other. It becomes quite painful if at the very beginning of the chain you need to add a column, because you need to propagate that through one by one, step by step. With Coalesce, actually, you could just, so on the left we've added, or Fred has defined his new deprecation flag as requested, and in Coalesce you just check the box where you want it propagated to, and it's done. You just get a preview, you apply that, and Coalesce automatically regenerates all of the tables and views that have been impacted, and that's it. And again, you just deploy that metadata, and it's done in production as well. Okay, so check, check. The bug was found and fixed. The new column was added. Okay, before the second coffee of the day, even. So that's easy. Okay, so let's look at the second question. Second question was, new data was loaded into Snowflake and the business needs it cleansed and modeled quick, so they can build key dashboards for stakeholders. That's an obvious question, right? New data, need to get a new data mart out there. Oh, and the secret second question again. They also need weather data. That seems like a simple question, but where's that coming from? Oh, there's APIs for that, but yeah. Okay, let's have a look. So, adding a new source. Well, of course, there are great tools out there. I think we've seen a few that will get that data with CDC, streaming into Snowflake. So we know those structures, right? And Coalesce will easily take those structures that are defined on Snowflake, and that's your starting point for a new data pipeline. And then what Coalesce does, it does everything in bulk if you want. So you just select all of your sources, you select adding something, adding nodes, those are these little building blocks, and you can pick what kind of an object it should be, a dimension or a factor, a stage or whatever you want. You can extend this as well. So I select stage, and there we go. We have an entire layer of stages. And then next step is just, oh, I want to have a customer dimension, a nation dimension, etc. So I select all of those, add nodes, and I pick dimension. This is, in minutes, you build an entire data mart. And all you have to do is add in those calculations, those transformations that are not based on the pattern by going specifically into those columns. But it's all very easy. So let's have a look at that, because it had to be cleansed as well, right? So we need to do, well, this is a stupid example, but let's imagine, hey, those columns need to be uppercase. You don't have to do it one by one. You just select those columns, build your transformation as kind of a pattern, and apply it. Get a preview, and it's applied. 4 columns getting a transformation. Perfect. Testing. Hey, we need to check if the customer key is unique. We need to check if the address or the phone number isn't empty. So a couple of clicks, and you define those tests. So that makes it very easy for a guy like Fred to build a robust data pipeline with these quality checks. Okay, so that was the easy bit. Now the secret second message, the weather data. And so this is kind of an example of how Coalesce adds, has that extensibility, that flexibility that allows customers to use and leverage that new Snowflake functionality that gets added like monthly. It's crazy. For example, here's it looks like a standard thing, but it's like an add-on to Coalesce. Maybe Fred wrote that himself, or he got it from a Coalesce person, from the Coalesce marketplace, where you can actually leverage the external access integrations from Snowflake. And you see there's a purpose-built interface, like the remote. You just put in the API link, you define the access integration, and that's it. You can get a view or a table with a function behind it, and it will just extract the data from the API and store it in a variant column in JSON format. So you can actually extract API data in 1 minute, let's say, maybe 2 minutes, leveraging the Snowflake capabilities. Makes it very easy. You don't need to be the data engineer extraordinaire like Fred. Most data engineers using Coalesce could actually do this quite easily. But that's where it starts going wrong, right? Because now we have that one column with the values, with all the weather values, all of the forecasting. And now what? We have to get all of those little attributes out of the JSON. Anyone ever worked with JSON to get the attributes out? Yeah, so the subtitle is already, this is one of our customers' all-time favorites. So the way to do that in Coalesce, you guessed it, right-click, there's an option, derive mappings from JSON. And in 2 seconds, literally, Coalesce will scan the JSON or the XML, and it will generate the metadata, the columns, including the transformations to reference all of the attributes, and the flattening, if needed, for the layered data sets. So everything gets flattened out, and you can just go cherry-picking whatever you need. So again, Fred will be done in a few minutes to get that weather data out as well. And he can then, it's part of the regular pipeline, so he can inject it into that data mart. Nice. So it's not even lunchtime yet, and Fred is halfway done. So, actually, Fred is all the way done, because now, because he's using Coalesce, everything is already standardized, so the naming conventions are a given. He doesn't have to worry about that. That's part of the product. And the CEO was asking about what is the data team doing with AI. And I think we can all agree that if you're stuck in fixing bugs and old stuff, you don't have the time to think about ML and AI. But now that Fred is using Coalesce, you can actually start experimenting in Coalesce with machine learning. I mean, Snowflake has forecasting models. They have fraud detection models built right in. And with Coalesce, it's just another node that you generate, basically. So yeah, AI is now definitely happening. So the CEO will be happy. And Fred will be happy. He's back. He's back on his skis. How is it? How am I doing on time? Oh, quite good. So yeah, happy Fred means happy data users, because the questions will be answered in time. The quality is going up. Code is being generated. Also, everyone else will be happy, because we've seen a talk about, hey, what happens if you get stuck in a coding language and then you want to move to another one? You're going to need ML and AI to have an efficient migration process. But with Coalesce, we don't store any code. We just store metadata. We describe how you are building your data transformation pipelines. We don't store the code. So if you have a better way of processing that data, maybe Snowflake comes up with a better way, maybe Snowflake has Snowpipe is relatively new. There's iceberg tables, maybe you want to use those. Could do that, dynamic tables. So you could upgrade your patterns to leverage those new functions, and then your pipeline is still the same, the description is the same, metadata is the same, template is different, template is optimized. So everyone will be happy. And in the end, that's what Coalesce does. We automate those data transformation pipelines, that transformation world. We solve the T out of ELT. So we don't worry about EL, that's for other tools to decide and to do that, but the transformation space is ours. And so, coming back to the core values of Coalesce, transform your data faster. So code first, GUI driven. So we like the fact that people respect and like the code, but at the same time we see that you don't want to be stuck with that code, and you don't want to have those data engineer extraordinaires, those five-legged sheep, those jacks of all trades that can do this kind of work alone. You want even your data analysts over at the business departments to be able to build those data pipelines. They have the knowledge on that data. They have the knowledge on how to deliver the value. So if you could hand a product like Coalesce over to those kinds of people, you're actually making it even more efficient, right? And I'm not saying that Coalesce is a no-code or low-code solution for only simple things. No, because Coalesce could do anything. Anything that is possible in Snowflake is possible with Coalesce as well. But it answers the question to the simple stuff and the advanced stuff. So you can give it to the not experts, and you can give it to the experts. So speed, code first, GUI driven. The second one is, of course, because speed alone is not enough. You know, I can be very fast hand coding, but that doesn't scale. Fred found that as well with his Fred framework. He was very fast, but he had to be involved himself in everything. That doesn't scale. So I mentioned it. We use Git to work in parallel. You can have different workspaces where you can work on different branches. Could be feature branches, could be whatever branches you want. You can work in parallel. Branching, merging, built right in as a standard. So that scales. Documentation is part of scaling as well, because you can have 15 people working and building stuff very quickly because of that speed. But if no one knows what's going on, then you still get a mess, right? You still don't know the impact. So you need that column lineage as well. Documentation for the end user is also important. So that's also part of scale. And lastly, it's kind of explained here as maximizing your Snowflake investment. And it's kind of true, because yeah, why do you choose Snowflake? Well, because it has certain features. And it gets more cool features, right, every month. And you want to keep using them. So it's not just for today, but you want your data platform to be future-proof. So it has to be flexible. And with Coalesce, actually, you can not only control the templates that drive the code generation, but you can define that interface, the red and green button. You can define the buttons yourself. That would be cool. So Coalesce has that, makes it very easy to use for everyone. Purpose-built, use your architecture, implement your best practices, give your amount of flexibility to all the users. So speed, scale, extensibility, that's my key takeaway. What do you need if you are going for future-proofing data transformations? That is the core values of Coalesce. You'll need speed, scale, and extensibility. So, yeah, this is also LLM generated, DALL-E generated. I was asking, I think my prompt was something like a skier who's asking questions at a bar. But that was exactly my first response. Why does that guy have a beer with a straw in it? And I think that's what he's wondering about. That's his question. So any questions? I think we have, well, I'm on time. So go ahead with any questions now or over a beer or at lunch. A semantic layer that is virtual. Well, yeah, that's the beauty. So you saw in the screenshots that you're building nodes in a very visual way. And one of the options that you get by default for every node is how do you want to materialize that, as a table or as a view? But we often get the question, I want to build actually a temporary table or a transient table or a dynamic table. Well, you can add the option in the interface or ask us to add the option in the interface. It's all open. So if you want to use a specific way of materializing, you can add it as an option or not add it as an option and have it default to it. So how does it compare, or how does it work together with front-end tools like Power BI? Yes. So yeah, we do have APIs, but actually what you deliver with Coalesce is objects on Snowflake. And what you use with Power BI and the likes are objects on Snowflake. So what we deliver is what you pick up with Power BI. So if we deliver dynamic tables with Coalesce, with Power BI, you look at that dynamic table. If you want to have end-to-end lineage from Power BI all the way back, I would say use a data cataloging tool that gets that metadata from Power BI, from Coalesce. There's a lot of information available. So yeah, that's basically the way we have a strict separation of duties. Our duty is transformations. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Enjoy your day.